Looks like we're live. Thank you very much, everybody, joining us here. Star Trek Online. We are looking at the T6 pilot ships. We're going to do the whole review here with the crew. Got people from the DPS channels. We got our man Timberwolf over here, and we're going to go through and do introductions here. Starting over here with my man Timberwolf. Go ahead.
This is Timberwolf from the YouTube channel and Facebook pages. My handle in game is Chris Torrance at Captain Torrance.
Scott.
Okay, I'm Scott Ross. In game, I'm known as at SA Ross 0219.
Jenna.
Greetings, this is the Sarcasm Detector. You guys probably know me from the forums and other locations. I am the elitist douchebag that everyone hates and loves at the same time.
And the ultimate maestro himself, please, Mr. B.
I am Spencer, known in game as at Spencer B96, and I love cheese.
Yes, he does. He loves to be cheesy with all his tactics, especially in PvP. All right, folks. T6 ships, they're out. The traits are there. The descriptions are out there, but no solid numbers. Speculations based off of past history, or they're going to do a completely new game here, and they're going to surprise us all with these numbers when they come out. What do you guys think?
Overall, so far, I mean, the ships themselves are a different kind of setup when it comes down to it. I mean, up until now, there hasn't been that many Fed ships. It's had a 5-2 layout, so it's very well that the consoles and the skills could all have something different. So.
And plus, since it's balanced, and all the ships for the Federation, Klingons, and Romulans all have 5-2. They're all stacked with 5 tactical consoles. It's just a minor deviation between engineering and science. And the Universal, it really gives a chance to any player to have from what I'm seeing, a fairly well-built pilot escort to start off with.
Yep. The only other differences that you'll notice in there is with the Fed ships, they have a little bit slightly higher shield modifier, and then the KDF ships also have a little bit more hull.
Well, that makes sense. Again, maybe that's a racial trait.
Yep.
Well, the KDF ships are considered Raptors, I believe.
Yes, they are.
Though, interestingly to note that the tactical, if someone was to buy the three ship set, the tactical with a few modifications could be made into a tier 6 bird of prey. And it probably would use a little tweaking as far as your modifications to the look, but I think it could work.
Which was surprising, because for a pilot ship that's supposed to be ultra maneuverable, not only is the size of the ship there, but the choices of the design, the platform for those ships, is also interesting. You would think pilot ships, you would have went with a bird of prey, you would have went with like a Defiant class or something a little bit small, like a Saber, but a more maneuverable Saber type. Although I will give them kudos, at least on the Fed side and the KDF side. I'm especially in love with the KDF side and the way they design their ships. So kudos to that.
No, absolutely.
But as far as the actual platform, I'm not sure the platform makes sense for the style and the type of ship that they're putting out there.
Well, there has been a growing trend towards larger ships in pretty much all the classes that they've released recently.
Yeah, and instead of these small little escort type ships, they're getting more and more in the large scale of things. I mean, if you look at you got the Elachi Dreadnought that came out. The only small ship that's really come out has been the attack ship. So these ships definitely fall in line with both of those sides of things, and with the sizes in comparison.
Yeah, it's the attack ship, and the other small ship that was released recently was the Contortrix, the Xindi Reptilian.
Yes.
Everything else has been pretty big. I mean, even the Fleet Phantom and the Fayette, those were pretty big ships.
Yes, they were.
And instead of going with the small Xenian sectoid, they just beefed it up into a heavy escort carrier.
Indeed, the insectoid is pretty large for a ship. But another trend I've noticed is that they tend to have ships, really large ships with very small crews.
Yeah, which is something else that's interesting with this here. I mean, you have the pilot ships with a much smaller crew than a Defiant, and yet, remind me again, what role does crew actually play in this game now?
They don't really play a really. I think it's still bugged, broken, but it's beneficial to have a smaller crew, if I
Yes.
remember correctly.
Indeed, I thought it was the opposite way around. Please educate me.
It has to do with the ratio of repairs.
Yeah, because as they're closer to being full health, and you have full heals going on with your shields, your hull, and any sort of systems that are down. But the smaller the system, the quicker they go up, and the quicker your regens go back up.
And aren't they also tied into, at least that's what I thought was they were tied into the recharge timers for your abilities?
No.
They're
No,
not?
that's completely the bridge officer that's in charge of that.
Okay.
All right, so going back over to the pilot ships here, we see that they're okay. The frame is larger than what some people expected, but okay, they're going to be highly maneuverable. How do you think they're actually going to implement your thrusters, your thruster maneuvers, and the invincibility for that short amount of time? The immunity to damage with that.
I think it's going to be very similar, and I've watched the little preview video they put out. They're showing off everywhere. The one that stands out the most is the barrel roll, and they've mostly implemented that already with rock and roll. It's just a tighter turn with probably the same immunity timer on it as well. And that probably didn't take much to do, but it's just how long of an immunity counter are you going to give something for just spinning in a barrel?
Well, technically, the barrel roll is not even a barrel roll; it's more of an aileron roll, more than anything else.
True.
And if you watch the little clips of the gifs from the dev team that was put out, they're doing those things, some of those things, one after the next almost. I mean, a couple seconds after, like the roll is done, they're able to speed ahead, or they speed ahead and they're doing a barrel roll to get out of it and such. So it very well could be that those maneuvers is going to have a short time on them, and that immunity might be just to reflect those cooldowns.
Well, you got to take into consideration that they might not have implemented the time limit lockouts for those videos just to actually show
them off.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Because what they were showing off could also implicate a daisy chaining of the abilities for almost unlimited immunity.
Yeah,
Well,
if that occurred, that's way overpowered right there.
Because we, of course, need more immunities, right?
Of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a little bit of a staged, because if in one of the videos they use the console, the tactical console, which shoots
Yeah,
out
and it
missiles.
kills it in like 2 seconds, and it's like, that's not going to happen.
No.
No, I doubt that's going to happen in game.
No, it's a fantastic show, and if it can at least do some decent kinetic damage and boost other kinetic damage, it might be nice, but I doubt it's going to be able to take on a dreadnought with a single fire spread.
I'm sorry, but the way they have everything buffed up right now, shields alone are going to just do some stupid negation on any damage that's kinetic out there right now. It's just going to say, hey, kinetic damage? Yeah, we don't care. It's going to be the case. So unless they have some other way of providing either another shield pen to torpedoes, which I don't see them doing anytime soon, or if they juice up torpedoes to the point where, yes, you're going to hit shields, but we're going to give you enough damage to be able to do some sort of significant bleed-through damage to the hull, so that way you not feel like you're left out of the game.
Well, they're going with energy torpedoes now.
Yes, yeah, the plasma one on that release. I'll be, you know what? What's next? Thorn infused Polaron torpedo.
Quite honestly, if they continue on the trend, we were just talking about this last night. They could implement a type of console similar to the Spires that for plus beams, and you could have a rainbow energy torpedo build.
Yeah,
And-
at the rate they're going, I wouldn't be surprised.
And you'd have one of each, of at least the basics, and you'd see just energy torpedoes flying everywhere.
Yeah, that'd be kind of crazy.
Do the energy torps not benefit from the plus torp consoles?
No, they
No,
do not. They only
they're plus
benefit
energy.
from their specific classification of energy.
Yeah, so you have to have like an antiproton console for it to beef the crystalline torpedo.
Same with
Yep.
the plasma torpedo that just came out.
Yeah.
So they don't benefit from plus beams, of course, or plus cannons.
No.
No, but I would think if they continue on that track, they would possibly come out with a plus torpedo that's just blanket for kinetic and energy torpedoes.
I don't
Or they,
think so.
they upgrade the plus torp that's already there, because isn't there one there already?
Is there?
There should be a plus torp.
Yeah, if I recall right, there is, but it's just not working on everything.
It's a generic plus torpedo for locator as well as exploiter.
Yeah, so they
but
just need to
that's just
fix
only
that.
for kinetics. Only for kinetics only. It doesn't affect the AP torp or the new plasma energy torp.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
which
that has
is,
to be fixed.
well, here's the other thing here. Both of those new energy torpedoes also benefit from the traits. Hold on a second, let me pull it up real quick here. From the captain skill where you can use Starship projectile weapon specialization and Starship projectile weapons. So they benefit from those skills. Even
Yeah.
though Vorticus initially said it wouldn't be.
Yeah, and they do benefit from those.
So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what else they're going to do as far as that's concerned. But hey, you know what? They threw a little sprinkling of kinetic damage boosts over here between Chemosite, two of those consoles, and a trait that's going to fire microtorps. Yeah, I guess they did their token love to torpedo fans out there. But let's look at the energy traits here, seriously, because they really juiced those up.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Spencer, give us a single target version of Fire at Will on this one, please.
Reroute reserves to weapons. That is, according to Velgon, capable of being a single target focus ability that will be on par with Thoth 3 for raw DPS.
Man.
It sets your weapon power drain to 0. I'll give example of rank 3 of the ability. You fire your weapon 60% faster, and you're draining from each weapon 6 engine power
Yep,
From
and that's
each
it.
weapon, 6 engine power.
per weapon. Yes.
Okay.
So you would keep the full damage capacity, and all you're doing is draining your engines.
Now,
Yeah.
here's the question though. Will the damage portion of it look at your weapon power
Weapon
only?
power.
Okay, and it's not going to care about engine power at all.
Just need to have engine power there so you can fire.
They brought it down to
Wow.
6 engine power drain because I remember when I was testing this out, I believe I had my engine power set to max. Running this ability, I had 0 engine power.
Rank 1 of the ability drains 10, rank 2 8, and rank 3 6.
Okay, then you do not want to be using rank 1. Or
Yeah, you want to use
Not.
2 or 3 at least.
because you
Wow.
will hit 0 engines and you will grind to a standstill, and when that happens, you're dead.
You're dead.
Well, maybe or maybe not, depending on the target you're facing. The target will be dead before you will. At least that's been the mantra for a while.
True.
I'm thinking with this, you'd want to do like emergency powered weapons 3 and then engines 1.
Jeez, so at least you'll have steady source of power for this. Now, people will also start looking at amp cores with weapon to engine, wouldn't they, at this point?
Yes.
Yeah.
Possibly. Well, there is the new console that came out with one of the new feature episodes, the Polonic modulator, I believe.
I
Yes.
have that. Yep.
That does have weapons to engines.
So they were actually trying to build for that anyway.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so this console here is 5 inertia, 12 flight speed, 20% turn rate and slipstream, so it's not going to matter in fighting. And then add 7.5% weapon power to your engines as bonus power.
Yeah, you get that off a Delta flight, I believe.
Yes, and that's just at the Mark 12 version of it too. So
You don't need to take it any higher. You get the 7.5 at any rank.
yeah, I imagine so.
Polaric. Okay, Polaric modulator. I do have it at Mark 14 Epic, and the stats for that are +5 inertia, +15 flight speed, which is really nice, +20% turn rate and slipstream. The weapons to engine is the same, 7.5%, but it does have a +25% flight turn rate.
Yeah, so
Nice.
if you got a big ship, you got a good turn rate right there.
Yeah, but that's not a huge boost between Mark 12 to, what is it, 14 gold you got yours?
Correct.
Yeah, that's not a huge boost between the levels.
There rarely is any huge boost on all the consoles. The only consoles that really jump really high are the Lobby consoles, because
Yeah.
they start out at blue.
True.
Yeah, because I have my Rule 62, and that thing is a massive boost. Same
Yeah.
thing with Tachyo.
Yeah, they start out at blue. That's why. So you not only are you going up 2 marks, you're also going up like 4 rarities or 3 rarities, whatever it is.
Yeah, because
Gotcha.
Tachyo and Bioneural, they jump massively.
All right, so looking at the rest of Pilot here, both the ships as well as the traits, are we going to see, since they've actually pretty much spread out all the similar traits across all 3 factions, we finally see an equalization across all the factions.
Yep.
This is a first, isn't it?
The command ships was another one that they did that with, if I recall, didn't they?
Yes, they want to
Okay.
release the same traits for each faction now. I believe Gecko said he didn't like the complaining about the original Intel ships, which did not evenly balance the traits.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it was so much of a lackluster of ships on KDF and Ramen side that it wasn't even a joke.
Was
Yeah,
it 2 ships for KDF, 2 ships for Romulan, and a bazillion for the Feds?
Yes.
It ended up being
Yeah,
what, like
pretty
6
much.
or 7 in the long
Now,
run.
I can see if they gave each faction like a little teaser, like, okay, here's your faction specific bonus for flying this, but then have the major traits be equal across the 3, or at least equitable, if not equal. But keeping the unique flavor across each faction. But this one is just pretty much cookie cutter across all 3, so nobody should be complaining for any faction around there. Initially,
Yeah.
I thought KDF wasn't going to get any love at all, and I don't fly KDF, but hey, it's good to actually see KDF finally getting some sort of respect, even if it is a little bit late to the game.
Yeah, true.
Now, what's with these traits? Please break it down for me. Who's gonna love what?
I mean, since I'm going to be running to the tactical more than likely, I could see possibly a micro torpedo with kinetic damage once the shield facing comes down being helpful at times. I don't think it's going to actually be viable for DPS, but it might be helpful here and there.
I think Subwar Sheath has potential. I don't know what the armor pin is on it.
That's going to be the
But-
biggest question right there, is what that armor pin is, because that's for the DPS run. That's going to be probably one of the biggest things. If that gives it anything more than like between 2 and 5%, probably, I'd say.
And that
Right.
would stack with, since you're already going at full throttle for pedal to the metal, you're getting extra damage boost from that and the penetration from this.
Well, here's the kicker, though. One is there going to be a hard cap on that trait? Like if you're already at 100% throttle, is that it? And does emergency power to engines and E to ID do anything for it?
No.
It's a good question. Probably not. It's probably based on the percentage of your throttle. So 25%, 50%, 75, 100.
Okay.
I'd
And
agree
then
with
it's just
that.
a matter, and then it's just a matter of finding out what the actual coefficients are for each one of them, for each one of those points, and then go from it there.
I'm gonna guess maybe at full throttle, maybe 10 armor pen, maybe 15. I don't see it being extremely high.
That would be huge
It would be.
for 10%. That's huge.
And then I could see, that we've got the new console coming out next week with the Preserver set. You're stacking on another 4% penetration with that. That'd be a lot of penetration between all the new stuff they're putting out.
Yeah, I don't see him going as high as 10, to be honest.
I agree. I think it'll probably be like between 2.5 and 5%.
So we're being conservative here with our guesses as far as what is going to be here. So it's going to be no more than EAP, which is 5% right now. But you
Yep.
think it's going to be just an additional 2.5% to 5%?
More than likely, because you have that, then you stack on all the other things that are armor pen, directed energy modulation if you're running beams, and the new console that's coming out with Preserver. That'd be a lot of stacking, especially if you're running the Delta Alliance trade as well.
Now, here's going to be the other thing here. Will the server be able to handle all of this?
I would say no, just from the tests that were run with the command battlecruisers.
Based off of what they've been saying recently, I'd hope that they would have designed these with the server in mind, being that they're going to go back and redesigning all of the old abilities to help with the server.
One
Yeah.
would hope.
Yeah, one could only hope, unfortunately. Lessons learned at Cryptic is not exactly lightning speed.
Yeah, especially if it's something that's always doing a calculation, that's always on and always calculating.
Those are the worst.
Those are the worst. Yeah, those are
Well,
probably.
from what I was learning from Spencer and Odin with the commands, they're polling the whole instance, the whole server
Yes.
as far as who's running, whereas these would just be simply polling your own ship, so I don't think they would affect as much.
One would hope they're only pulling from the own ship.
Well,
I'm
they
just
are
going on the
they are
description.
ship-centric, but still,
The server still has to do the.
exactly.
True.
It still has to do the calculations, the instance, depending on how they engineered it, the instance server that's handling this specific thread for the instance will have to run that calculation, and you multiply that by however many people are running in that instance. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing to take into consideration, take myself and my scimitar that I have. I take that exact same setup, basically, without changing any of the ship traits, and then throw my scimitar build onto the TAC or the science setup, and use that ship as it is, and it's got additional skills. You're bound to see something that's going to go beyond just what the scimitar is seeing in the lag form.
Well, I will tell you this though, because I just ran one of the new solo missions, as well as 2 different instances, one of the new ones and in the ISA, with no traits at all, none, 0, none on space, no ground, no nothing. Lag City, performance was horrible. It was as if I was running every single trait there, so there was no difference.
We have a theory that there's some bleed through from other instances.
Yes.
So if you have like 100 people running ISA, and there are overloading the server, then
Right.
Even if you jump into ISA with 5 people and none of them are running traits, that server is still overloaded.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna hit you one way or the other, whether it's from your own instance or from another instance that's on the same type of mission. Because
Alright.
most likely the way these work on the server is, even though they're their own instance, it's one particular map, and that map is going to be its own application, and it's going to run everything on that same application that it has on the server, and everyone's going to feel everything from the same thing.
Yeah, it's not one instance per shard or per rack, for example.
Mm-hmm.
one server is going to be running multiple instances on it.
So pretty much this comes down to a resource allocation
It is.
issue for at least part of this issue is a resource allocation for Cryptic.
Yeah. Well, I did hear a rumor a while back that at the point where the lag got really unplayable for most of us, which was around the start of the anniversary event, that is when Neverwinter Xbox went live.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the rumor was that they took servers off of STO and Neverwinter and moved them over to run Neverwinter Xbox.
Yeah,
That's
I think
a
part of it
horrible
was
idea.
also. Yes, exactly. I think part of it was also to be able to handle the brand new upgrade because they knew and anticipated having a large group of people hop onto it on the first opening day.
Yeah, that I could actually see happening. Just from an architecture standpoint, you want to allocate more resources to.
Yep, and then you throttle it down after you realize what you need and don't need.
Yeah,
Right.
it's if you go read the Neverwinter forums, you get complaints about lag as much as the STO forums.
Yep,
Yep.
and you get the same amount of people that's complaining about there being no lag.
Well, obviously you should check your ISP and your video card, right?
Yes,
No.
it's all about my system that I have here, man.
No,
Apparently
man.
my
All of-
12-core dual 980 GTX video cards is not enough for this game.
All of you are wrong. All of you are wrong. You got to quit torrenting, and you got to make sure you're running a good antivirus because you all have fire.
Oh yeah, I remember that one too.
Yeah.
Just remember, it's the Iconians.
Ah, it's the Iconians. Dang those Iconians.
And I'm telling you.
All
Many
right.
turbos in the box.
All right. Now, going back to the actual path here before we deviated along that very wild tangent, yet still oddly related to what we're discussing.
Yes.
With the Starship traits, we also have the actual pilot bridge officer abilities. Now, who would like to take a nice gander and fly her apart? Do you see this being abused by every single tactical officer out there?
It
Yes.
has its purpose because it's a great way to get your GDF down and be able to trigger that off, and then you throw in a couple heals. Or if you got like the console from the Kabali ship, you get your GDF, you light it up, and then you light up the console, and then you're back up to full.
Actually, I still don't think it's enough. I
don't think it is. I don't think it is either. It's not even one that I plan to even teach any of my officers when it comes down to it.
So the initial version of this power, it didn't do enough damage to overcome the passive healing that ships have.
Yep,
Really?
especially if you're running the assimilated set. If you're running if you run the new car like I do a lot, you will see it take you down, but it's very easy to heal back up. In the assimilated set, it never got me down below like 70%.
Huh.
Yeah, it needs tweaking to actually do some more damage to actually trigger the GDF. But as it is, like just even if you're not running the assimilated set, your passive healing that your ship does is pretty much on par with the amount of damage that it's taking. So it's gonna need some tweaking.
Yeah. Or you're going to have to make sure you're taking damage.
This is the first. People are actually saying, hey, this ability needs to do more damage to us.
Well, as tactical captains, we were always looking to take some damage and get that GDF. Remember, we get really angry when people heal us.
Of course. Yeah. Plenty of different rage every time. It's like, don't heal me, man. I'm trying to get hit. Yes. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm pretty sure every single one of us at some point, probably multiple times, has been there, when you're at that 51% hull and you're just waiting for just one more shot to trigger that GDF, and suddenly you see that hazard emitters hitting you and that aux to SIF, and suddenly you're at 100% and you're like,
Yes.
Why?
Oh, I had one time I was at 3%, and I went to go hit it, and all of a sudden I was full heal and it went away. I'm like, seriously?
Wait, hold on a second, because Ryan STO told me before, and once you activate it, it stays regardless of what
Oh,
health happens after you trigger it.
it does stay, but if you don't get it triggered in time, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
Yeah,
yeah. So depending on what the server says, not what your client says.
Yes.
pretty much.
Nice.
And so yeah, it's hard to you're trying to tell people. Oh, pardon me. I just have to clear my throat a little bit there. But you try to tell people, there's this little lightning bolt icon that pops up in the middle of my flags. If you see that, then you're okay to heal. But of course, not a lot of people will be able to see that because you have a long chain of flags showing up on your icons there.
Yeah, you got like 30 icons that sometimes can show up depending on how much you're lighting up at the time. So most people's not going to be looking for that one icon, and as it is, in my opinion, those icons are almost worthless.
Well, they are for the most part, because there's no easy way to be able to tell what's a buff from a debuff. I mean, couldn't they do it like most MMOs? You would see your buffs on one row and your debuffs on another row, and they are differently colored to the point that you can distinguish them from your buffs.
Exactly. And,
We're going off on another tangent here.
Yeah, we are. But it's so easy. All right, I'll bring this. All right, so pilot buff abilities. Back on it. Aside from flyer apart, the opposite of it. Hold. Was it hold us together?
hold together.
Hold it together. Yeah, doing that with structural integrity overcharge as a starship trait. You're going to see a lot of heavy healing on that, won't you?
Absolutely.
So what do you think? PvP, PvE, both? Are they actually going to attempt to make tanking something?
It's a shame PvP is like it is right now, because that would have been amazing for an escort a year ago.
Yeah.
It would
A
have.
year ago, yeah. What's this PvP you're talking about? Is that like
The thing that Cryptic keeps trying to kill quickly, instead they're just dying a slow death.
Is it like PvE?
Yeah, except you're actually playing with things that think.
Ah, okay.
Yes. Those mobs that keep running around, those Iconian ships and whatnot, replace those with human beings that think they have brains. Some do, some don't. You just can't tell until you kill them.
Instead of getting XP and dill for kills, you get delicious tears in the chat.
Oh, I love tears.
Yes. You feed off of tears and you feed off of crushed spirits.
I like Form Up. It seems like it'll be a nice ability.
Form Up actually is very nice.
Form Up, is that the one where you're flying close to
An ally.
or foe, or an ally, and then once you're flying with that ally, you get a damage bonus?
Yes.
Scaling from plus 15% to plus 40 to yourself
Really?
and the ally.
That's a base
Nice.
damage, though, isn't it?
It's got to be a Cat 1.
I don't know.
Got to be, because if even then, a Cat 1, 40%, that's pretty damn huge.
That's about 6% effective.
Well, all right, 40% for me is huge. Flying my unique snowflake of a torpedo build.
This is true for a torpedo build. You would get a huge boost on that alone.
Yes.
For a commander slot, though, I imagine Attack Tyrant Omega 3 would be much more significant to your damage.
That would be
Yeah.
well, hold on, because APO 3 is only about 25% damage.
Isn't it
25%.
But that's Cat 2, if I recall right.
Cat 2 or Cat 3? No, it's not Cat 3. It is Cat 2.
Oh, it's Cat
Yeah.
2. Okay, yeah, then that would be big. That would be bigger. So unless they made that Cat 2, which if they made that Cat 2, that would be seriously OP. It would be seriously overpowered. But it's just a damage boost when you're flying close to your ally, and that's it.
Yep.
Yes, I don't see that being a Cat 1, because if they made that a Cat 1, it's worthless.
Yeah, it would be.
Well, wouldn't also Form Up also stack with Danger Zone and Wingman, depending on the situation?
Well, how many people are actually going to go nose to nose unless you both both you and the ally are using the pilot tree as your main tree, and you're scraping shields alongside it.
Well, that's what I was asking.
It's going to be tough actually to implement that because to actually get it to work, you're not going to be running at full throttle, so you're going to be losing other stuff like pedal to the metal. Because remember, ships are going to be flying at different speeds. Different people have different builds, and people are going to have cruisers and whatnot. So it's not going to be easy to actually use this power.
Well, maybe not, but in coordinated teams, I mean, you can have two ships literally pushing up against attack cube on its flank, and they're going to be at full throttle anyway, so you're not going to lose pedal to the metal. Danger zone, and then this trait here, theoretically, they all should be stacking with each other, right? Because there are situations in ISA runs where I am nose up on attack cube on its flank with somebody else who's also nose up on the attack cube on its flank, the same flanking side.
It's certainly something to test out.
Which means that people might actually have to fly a bit more coordinated.
Use their brains? What?
I know.
Yeah, that'll limit it to a few hundred people in the game, so...
You expect people, besides just waiting for pets, to actually fly together?
Hey, look, man. It actually snowed in May, so it's possible. It is possible. It is possible. All right, so what else are we looking here on the pilot tree itself? What about the pilot tree and how it's going to relate with these new ships here? I mean, we already touched on shield scraping here. What about, let me see.
Lone Wolf?
I just don't see anyone slotting the pilot as a primary in PvE.
I don't either.
It's not nowhere near as good as Intel for tier 3 and 4.
Yeah, people will probably fill it up for pedal to the metal too. But there is one skill that is absolutely detrimental to tactical pilots, and that's scratch the paint.
Yep, and especially with these pilot escorts having so little of haul, that's going to be critical for them to not have to worry about an explosion taking them right off at start.
But in ISA, trying to get a GDF, that would... Unless you... What happened when we were testing it a few times a while back, I got hit by a sphere, a warp core explosion, and that took that, and I still got the cube. Yep. It's workable, but it's just not worth it.
You think there's just not enough passive damage boosting in the pilot tree in order to make it worthwhile to be a primary?
No, because the pilot tree is more of a defensive tree than anything else.
It is. It's one of those that's trying a great effort to make tanking a thing, but really is not doing anything to justify it.
It's another thing where if it came out a year ago when PvP still had a few people doing it, it would have been awesome for speed tanking escorts.
Well,
the 5 PvPers that are left should enjoy it, though.
Well, not even that. I mean, when I used to PvP back in like 2012, I would always run with a cruiser buddy who was running a full Tetrion beam, and I would stay literally right behind him while people coming up and trying to hit him. I would come from behind him, on top of him, decloak and let loose, and be done with it. So I would always stay close to him. So yeah, this could I would see, wingman, danger zone, and then some of the pilot boss abilities working with that. But yeah, too little, too late. At least from a PvP perspective.
Yeah, PvE wise, next to zero value.
Ooh.
Yeah, you don't want to give up the flanking from Intel. That's
that's huge.
And the Intel fleet.
Intel fleet is massive. It is massive. I mean, I don't know about you guys how much of a huge boost it is for you, But for torpedo builds, especially pure kinetic builds, Intel Fleet is literally God mode. You juice up your torpedoes, pop everything, and then you hit Intel Fleet. It's driving home a nuclear bomb after a sledgehammer. Nasty.
Nice. Yeah,
Now,
it's the same for energy weapons.
It is. I love having both tactical and intel fleets at the same time once I've juiced everything else up.
one of the other abilities looks like it might have some promise. Lock trajectory.
Yes. Yeah, bridge officer power.
Give me that one. I'm unfamiliar with that one.
It sets your inertia rating to 0 at the rank 3. It gives you plus 200 flight turn rate. It requires over 50% throttle to activate. It'll lock you on a course and you can just spin, going in circles while going the same direction.
Not too bad. I see a lot of PvP use for that.
With the dual beam bank or dual heavy cannons, you could go set it to go in one direction, then you could just turn and shoot as you go past the enemy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would shields. Well, I guess for you guys it wouldn't be too much of a problem, but shields, nah, that would be a problem. I would actually see a good use for that for torpedo builds as well. Would be nice.
Anything that has the 90-degree arc or 45-degree arc is gonna love lock trajectory.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because then you could just literally coast on by, turn, and keep firing at everything there. Yes, you're going to hit different shield facings depending on your angle, but you're going to still maintain a lot of time on target, and you're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at them at that point in time.
Yep, and in fact, in that little GIF that was put up by the dev team, I believe this is actually what they used when they did the afterburners, because you can watch it as it kept on target on the ship that it was focused on as it was zooming past it.
True.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. Wow. So we see pretty much there's going to be a lot of. What do you think? They're trying to make this a little bit more action arcade in space instead of just, all right, I have my ability here, I have my energy weapons firing off, whether it's OSS or FAW or whatever, and I'm just going to meander to my target. With this one, it's I can actually move, dodge, bob and weave, come into that, look at different vectors, and start making my attack runs that way, plan ahead, still maintain time on target. Even when I'm doing a strafing run,
I can see
it's
that.
going to be much more active as far as a pilot itself.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I've been calling that just since I saw the first image of the Mercury class. It looked like they got the idea. If anybody gets the reference, the Vic Viper fighter from the Gradius games.
Yeah.
It looks like they wanted where you could literally feel like, and of course it's all run by the various buffs and debuffs on the server, but you can bob and weave around torpedoes and energy weapons to fight to your target and fight away. So it's a much more active battlefield, in theory.
Yeah, it takes us a little bit away from the submarines in space feel or the ships on a string feel, and more towards what Defiant used to do in Deep Space Nine.
The perfect example, I believe, would be Shattered Mirror when it's the Mirror Universe Defiant versus the Mirror Negvar.
Yes, that would be nice. You'd be able to actually dodge shots and completely miss a salvage. Pretty much what we were discussing earlier. You know, you can actually just sidestep a shot and you're immune to that damage for a second. So that salvos would fly by, beams would just fly by, no damage done to you for that moment as you're moving it.
Or something that I brought up with you in an earlier chat, you could also have it, on occasion you would see in that episode the weapons scraping the shield. Same was implied in Star Trek VI, where a torpedo hit, but it bounced off the shields. You could also implement I guess almost a chaotic weapon implementation for that, so the moment it bounces off, it could hit friend or foe and do damage. If they were trying to go for you're bobbing and weaving, well, there is friendly fire sometimes in combat.
I just can't imagine the lag with that. Don't even mention it, please.
I,
It would be a nice addition if they fixed everything up.
it would be.
It would be.
But if that's the feel they're going for, I mean, that's something that might be on their mind. I hope not. They need to fix other things first, obviously.
Yes.
Were there any disappointments as far as what was released?
The biggest disappointment I have is actually the two devices, just having two device slots, but at the same time, for the size of the ship versus like the other escorts, it makes sense.
It does. It's just hard.
Escorts have always had 2 device slots.
Yeah, and I personally would have liked it with 3 to make them stand out a little bit better than the other ones.
But it does make you be a little bit more picky about what you pull for your devices.
Yeah, exactly.
For me, I'd put up my red matter and the temporal negotiator.
I was expecting the ships to be 4-3.
I was
very glad to see 5-2.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was so expecting these to all be 4-3s. To see the 5-2, this is actually almost enough that I'm going to be testing it very hardcore to see if this is enough to pull me out and pry me out of my death grip on my scimitar.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll beat the scimitar, but it'll be pretty nice.
All right.
If they would, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that let's not get too excited. These ships do not one-up any ship that's in the game right now. Compared to the other Tier 6 escorts that are out there, you can basically look at these as a T6 Kumari. It's basically they're not better than the Mata, for example. In fact, they're pretty much identical to the Mata. They just have the extra pilot abilities.
Pilot abilities that should have been in the game from the very start, mind you.
Okay.
True.
If you look at the Ajax, the stats for the Ajax, and compare it to the Manasa, they are almost identical. The Manasa is a little bit slower. It has a little bit lower turn rate, but that's fine. The Hazari compares to the Icarus, except the Hazari is a 4-3.
Mm-hmm.
The Mercury itself compares very well to the Phantom and the Fayette, for example, the Fleet Phantom and the Fleet Fayette. So they're pretty much equal to all those ships. They're not better than them. They're just it's not an upwards progression. It's a side grade, if you will.
Now, if at the very least one of them had come out with a 5-3, that could have been an upgrade, in my opinion.
Yeah, we're not going to see that. I really doubt that.
Yeah, the only other
3 ships, the Moog, the Scimitar, and the Avenger. Unless there's others I don't know about.
Theology Dread.
Okay.
The Shashar.
Shashar.
So 4 ships in entirety with a 5-3 setup.
Well, eventually they'll release T6 versions of those ships. But
I'm sorry, the Azteca as well.
Oh, really?
Right, yeah.
yes, it is a 5-3.
Oh.
Jemadar Strike Ship, a 5-2, correct?
No,
No,
4-3.
it's
Big
a 4-3.
Imp 4-3.
The new one is a 4-3?
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, all right. I was mistaken then. I thought it was a much different loadout than that. So
No,
Correct it
it's almost identical to the attack ship itself.
okay.
So I'm curious, which of these are you guys going for?
I'll start off that. And I've been looking at it the whole time we've been discussing this, and I looked at the Mercury. I'm kind of fond of the design the most, and I do like the bridge officer layouts because there's a possibility of 3 tacticals, even though that might be a little too much. But honestly, looking at the starship trait and the layout, I'm thinking the Icarus. For me personally, I'm starting to look at the Icarus with a little bit more joy.
Yeah, that's something there because that these ships, you look at them, they're actually tailoring towards those captains who fly them. I mean, it's not like engineers or side captains are going to be short any of their slots.
And that's what I was looking at, because you look at the console for the science, and it gives. Of course, we don't know what the moderate passive bonuses cost, but you've got exotic damage, so they're trying to tailor towards psi exotics, and you've got 4 science consoles to boost exotic damage. If you wanted to run an exotic damage escort, which I didn't even know they would try to even let psi captains do. To me, that's the one that's talking to me right now, and that might be the one I go with.
What
Plus,
about
of
you,
course,
gentlemen? Spencer, what about you?
I really like the Mercury. I'm gonna get the Romulan ones first. I'll probably just end up getting the 3-pack. I don't like the visuals of the Romulan ones that much, but out of the 3, I see myself running the tactical variant. I can fit chemo site and all that fun stuff on there.
Scott?
I'm going to end up getting the entire pack myself, honestly, so I can play and experiment with each of the different versions.
Bless you.
So,
Thank you. Sorry.
Bless you, man. Jenna, what about you?
Okay. I don't really feel like I do want these ships. And alright, I'll start off, I'll just talk about the ships themselves. I might, if I ever decide to spend the money on this, which is, it's an iffy one there, but I might get the 3-pack and use the science ship long enough to get the trait. I'm really interested in the Ajax, the engineering-based one, because that's the one that you can really push the speed boundary on. Because you have so many engineering slots on there, you can put emergency powered engines, and you can run the double aux to inertial dampeners on that, and just really push the speed limits. But for the science one, I already have the Zindi, the X-Hec, the Olean, so I don't really foresee using the Icarus that much. And I do have a Fleet Phantom as well, so I don't see the Mercury being too useful on that. So the engineering one is probably the most interesting for me. The thing is, though, right now I cannot justify spending $30 or $60 on a game that I cannot play.
exactly. That's the hardest thing.
Toughest one,
Yeah, you read my mind. I mean, I was going to say that if the game was fixed to where it was at least decently playable, doesn't have to be perfect, but decently playable. We're talking the small gap between the Mirror Invasion event and the Winter event. That was decently playable.
Yes, it was.
Mhm.
If we could get back to that status, I could
That'd
see
be great.
myself throwing. Yeah, oh yeah. Well, people will be jumping for joy. We will tell our friends to come back and they'll play. We'll throw down some money. We'll throw down some bonus money just because we'll feel good about it. We'll feel there's some progress made with this. If we get back to go on.
No, I'm saying because right now I'm very limited in what I can play in the game because of the lag, because of the rubber banding, because of the misfires. So I can sometimes play Zero Nebula. Sometimes it lags out on me. I can play Fleet Alert. I can play Gorn Minefield, and I can sometimes play the new queues that are out. Gateway to Greth or Heralds is actually pretty bad. So I'm limited to like 3 or 4 queues.
Yeah,
What's the point?
The performance is bad.
So
And
what's the point? Well,
and
I spend $60 on a ship that I can't use in the game.
Especially when you can't parse with it, because the current state of ISA, and we showed it twice this past weekend, when you can't parse in ISA for just to test your build because the lag is so horrendous, you lose up to what, 10-15% of your shots at worst case scenario, and you're
No.
rubber banding halfway across the map.
No.
That's 33% of your shots. 33%.
Well, they were going after you specially.
Oh.
I've
No,
had
you know what?
times where I can't fire anything for, usually the entire
whole
match.
Yeah, I've had that as well. No, I've
Yeah.
had a run with a ship I know for certain is an 80 plus K ship where I could not break 20K in it.
Yep.
Exactly.
And that's kind of the way I'm in right now. I mean, I'm lucky if I can get up into the 40K, and if I get even a bit of light where I see 70 to 80K, I'm like, holy crap, that was a great run. What happened?
Yeah, you guys are lucky because, hey, you know what? If the game steals a fire at will from you, you at least have 6+ energy weapons that can still shoot, barring anything crazy happening.
Yeah,
Me?
if you lose a torp spread, yeah,
No, torque spread or no, especially high yield. Because if I lose a high yield, not only am I losing that high yield 3,
you're
I'm
losing
also
all the extra procs on it. Yeah,
I'm using all the procs on it, and I'm also losing the Shashar trait, the Torpedo Barrage, which fires a high yield 1, and then all the procs behind that one as well.
Yep.
So I'm losing 2 shots, 2 big shots with all these other procs behind it.
isn't there also a command in the command tree something that gives you extra high yield or an extra torp shot?
No, but it does an exploit, but I have to use energy weapons, or somebody else has to run command and use energy weapons to do the exploits. So it's like minus 100 kinetic resistance rating, which would be massive for me. Because I honestly think if I could get 2 people to run command with this, maybe one of the pilot ships. I'm looking at the science and the tactical versions of the pilot ships just for their traits. Because both of them, depending on the values, would be a huge boon between that, having Intel as a primary, Command as a secondary, and having 2 other ships flying around with Command and energy weapons, proccing exploits all over the place. I have micro torpedoes doing damage with extra damage because they're kinetic. Whether they're being buffed by TAC consoles or not is a different story. Then I have all my torpedoes doing extra kinetic damage because of all the procs going on. And then I will have the subwarp sheep trait that will give me the extra armor penetration. To what value, I don't know, but I'm always flying at max throttle anyway. And those abilities there would help tremendously with my damage. So I can
Now
easily
just-
75 to 80K for a torpedo build.
Just watch this stay on target be about as effective as a demolition team.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That's why I said I will not be excited until I actually see the actual values. Because if anything that has thrown cold water onto my face is the way Cryptic handled the crystalline energy torpedo, both pre-release, day of release, and 3 days after its release. What they've done on it is completely ludicrous. They literally changed all the rules on release and then changed it again 3 days afterwards. So I'm going to wait and see what they do with this and then decide if the server performance is to my standards to decide whether I'm going to throw money on this game or not.
Unfortunately, we might not see any kind of changes in performance till 10.5 or 11.
Yeah.
I can wait. I have no problems waiting.
And I'm thinking
Ships are not going anywhere, so if things improve, then I'll be happy to spend the money on it. But
And I'm thinking with it being the weekend and they're coming out for this weekend, I think if anything, more people, the fan base, if you will, that just try to buy whatever new comes out, they'll be flying these so much. If the abilities or what they're polling for does the same thing as the command, it'll just make it even worse.
it should be interesting. Just a tip of advice, though, for people: if anyone does want to do an impulse buy, do not buy it on Thursday. Do not buy it on Friday. Wait till Saturday. And the reason I say that, every single time, and this has happened every single time, they've released a new ship on Thursday. By Friday night or Saturday, there is a ship sale.
Yep.
True. True.
Hmm.
And I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. That makes me be more reserved.
So people who are listening now, you 50 people are subscribed to either Wolf or myself. Congratulations, you just got a nice piece of advice from the sarcasm detector himself, who's not being sarcastic here. He's giving you the truth. Straight up, listen to this man.
Absolutely.
Now,
Well, I'll get the Romulan 3-pack tomorrow because I grinded out with Dill.
well, that's true. But so you're not even going to bother with the sales, just going to be Dill and you're done.
Yeah, it'll take me a week and a half to save up to buy the Fed 3-pack then, after I buy the round.
Cool. One thing I wanted to do, just because, me and my affinity for torpedoes, just because it's different, looking at the way they implemented both, they paid attention to both major sets of weapons here, as far as energy and then kinetics. They paid attention to both here, but the way they paid attention to it is a little bit telling. And I'm looking at this as, all right, you threw a bone to kinetics as far as, hey, look, kinetic ability here, and something else here. But the real solid meat, the real power, is sitting with the energy weapons again. And I'm not knocking it, mind you. I'm just saying, is this an obvious bone, or did they attempt to try and do something and just couldn't come up with something decent for kinetic weapons here?
It looked like they were trying to not just pull for a kinetic. They were trying to bring back some of the builds that haven't been around, like cannons. And I noticed, I put that together also after seeing this with, they offered the dual heavy cannons for the resonant disruptors. They're trying to...
They have the ability where it's buffing both beams and cannons at the same time. That's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then adding in the kinetic abilities, not just the projectile barrage, but also the subspace eddy, and just trying to give bonuses here and there. Maybe they are trying to be a little bit more level. Maybe they can't be at this point, but a little bit more level with what they give out to the various builds.
Do you guys foresee some kind of stat squish coming up where we lose differentiating abilities? Like there won't be any more abilities for beams and abilities for cannons, but there'll just be one ability for both.
Well, we at the kinetic community, this made-up community that I do just to make fun of ourselves, but we've been saying this for years. Why do you have separate consoles for mines that do kinetic damage and separate consoles for torpedoes that do kinetic damage? And the universal consoles for them are either torpedoes or mines. Why not just hybridize them both to be kinetic damage, and you cover all your bases? You have your specifics for your quantums for either mines or torpedoes. You have your specifics for transphasics, for tricobalts, whatever. But they will cover both mine and torpedoes instead of one individually.
See, now is your problem. You're talking common sense and cryptic.
Yeah.
Damn! I knew there was a problem with that.
Probably more than likely their original logic was you weren't mixing the two. You were just running one. You were running one style or the other, either torpedoes or mines for whatever reason. But it would make sense to just make it a hybrid console.
Well, the bad thing about mines is you can only run them in the aft. You can't run them in the front unless you're using like some of the mine torpedoes.
Right, which then they also confuse a lot of people because they say, hey, look, it's a torpedo. No, it's not. It's mines being launched by a torpedo.
Yeah, it's a cluster mine is what's going on there.
Yeah.
Don't mines and torpedoes also share an activation timer?
No, they do not.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, that's some reprieve there. I can launch mines and launch torpedoes at pretty much the same time.
Yep.
Now, the trick here, though, is if I'm doing a flyby, I'm firing torpedoes and I have mines on auto fire, or a cluster torpedo on the aft on auto fire. It's not going to fire on the flyby. They still need to fix that.
True.
And if anybody over there, Cryptic, is listening, fix the quantum exploiters. They're still not giving any damage to quantums. Fix it. Especially now that you have two, you have a new rep Quantum Torpedo and the Iconian one. Please fix it because people who actually want to do decent quantum damage need the exploiters. Fix it. There, I'm done.
Well, that's fair.
All right. Any closing thoughts?
From me, it's gonna be a wait and see for waiting for a lot of the stats to see exactly what the armor pin ratings and just the basic stats, how it's gonna work. It's gonna have to be a wait and see. Just don't go out and spend your money like Sarcasm said. Wait and see what it's gonna do and what they're trying to implement, and then let them patch it however they're gonna do it before you start buying.
Spencer.
I think they have some potential. They're not going to be setting any new records, but they're an interesting change, and I look forward to being able to fly them at some point months from now when it doesn't lag.
Here.
Scott.
You know, when it comes down to it, these are part of the first ships that I've actually been excited to see because they feel like they're actually going to be ships and not just this boat that's flying through space. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that these got the advantage of is you're not just flying in a straight line, you're now flying and able to go sideways and such. So I'm looking forward to actually being able to use these. Probably end up using them on my Delta recruits because that's the only thing that doesn't lag.
At least for the time being.
Yeah.
Jenna.
Yeah, no, I'm extremely torn here because I love speed tank builds. I love them so much. I speed tank my cruisers. I have my cruisers flying around like escorts. So, I really, really want these ships, but the answer is nope. I cannot justify it. Just thinking about spending, $30 or even $60 right now, the way the game is for me, it just gives me a sick feeling. I'm sorry.
Hey, true words, man. True words. Because I'm in that same feeling here. The only reason I'm still in this game is because of you guys. Because I respect you guys. I've flown with you guys. We've dealt with some of the hardships in trying to play a game together and enjoy the camaraderie. But we keep getting frustrated with this, which has built a whole new level of camaraderie between us all. But as for me, I am actually, like Scott said, I'm actually interested in these shifts because it's a whole new paradigm shift as far as you can actually pilot and be more active in your piloting with these ships. That gets me excited because I'd like to be able to play this game and fly around and feel like I'm actively flying the damn ship. But server performance is the biggest thing that will say no sale.
Absolutely.
No sale until it is fixed. Then I will look at the stats and then I will make my purchase. But stats aside, just for fun, I would pick up one of these. At least one ship, if not a pack. And I would throw down cash and save the deal for upgrading stuff for it. But without the server performance, primo, no sale.
If you cannot actually enjoy the ship that you have purchased with real money, what is the point of throwing down the real money?
Yep. It's hard enough to enjoy the ships that we got set up already as it is because of the lag.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. We will be doing this again once we actually have some hard numbers, and hopefully, one can always hope, hopefully we'll also have, ding, 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 better server performance. The engineers at Cryptic say they're hard at work trying to fix the problems here. But will the black hole keep sucking us into this horrible, horrible lag of doom? Or will we prevail and actually be able to enjoy the game once and for all and blow up the Iconians and whatever comes to us at 10.5?
Don't hold your breath.
Don't hold your breath, but some people just might. Who knows? Thank you all for coming along. Thank you all for listening out there. Stay tuned. We'll be back. See you.